name is Nathan Kasich, and this is my session 3 presentation. In this presentation, we will explore a cosmic level argument for the existence of a creator, drawing from a biblical perspective and supporting it with scientific evidence behind it. The argument we will be focusing on is the quote-unquote contingency argument, which posits that everything that exists contingently requires a necessary being to explain its existence. This necessary being, from a biblical viewpoint, aligns with the characteristics of God, Jesus Christ, Yahweh, as described in Scripture. So, the contingency argument. Here's a definition of the contingency argument. Well, a definition of a contingency. Contingent beings are beings that rely on something outside of themselves for existence. For example, living organisms, stars, and even galaxies depend on various conditions and factors. Excuse me. A necessary being, in contrast, is a being that exists independently and must exist. It is not contingent on anything else. In the biblical context, this necessary being is Yahweh. A scriptural foundation. Creation ex nihilo. The Bible asserts that God created the universe from nothing. He made everything out of nothing. Genesis 1:1 says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." This aligns with the idea that the universe is completely contingent upon God's will. God as the source of existence. Colossians 1:16-17 emphasizes that all things were created by him and for him, indicating that God's existence is fundamental for the existence of anything else. Now on to some scientific support. A, the Big Bang Theory. A cosmic beginning. Now the Big Bang Theory posits that the universe indeed had a beginning approximately 13.8 billion years ago. This aligns with the concept of contingency. If the universe began to exist, it must have a cause. So on this slide, we're not necessarily saying that the Big Bang Theory aligns with Scripture, or that I personally take the Big Bang Theory and try and stuff it into a scriptural view. I take the Bible as its word, and I personally interpret Genesis 1 as Genesis 1, but science and Genesis both posit that the universe indeed had a beginning, which is evident of a contingency. Evidence of expansion. Observations of cosmic background, radiation, and the redshifts of galaxies indicate that the universe is expanding from an initial singularity, suggesting a point of creation. So in this slide, we are not necessarily supporting the Big Bang Theory, but we are supporting what science has found, and it is that there was indeed a beginning to this universe and that it is not an eternal one. Fine-tuning of the universe. Physical constants. Scientific research shows that the universe's physical constants are finely tuned to allow for the existence of life. If these constants were even slightly different, the universe as we know it now would not exist. There are many examples come to mind, such as gravity itself, our positions from the sun, our position in the solar system, are two good examples of just one of these many constants of this example. The anthropic principle. This principle states that the universe's properties must allow for human life, implying intentional design rather than mere random chance. Excuse me. This leads us back to the idea of a creator who designed the universe with a purpose. Again, that creator being Yahweh, as read in Scripture. Slide number 6, the origin of life. Biogenesis versus abiogenesis. Current scientific understanding supports that life arises from pre-existing life, biogenesis, not from non-living matter, which is what abiogenesis supports. This suggests a necessary source of life, resonating with the biblical account of God, Yahweh, as the giver of life, as read about in Genesis 2:7 and everywhere else in Scripture. The complexity of life. The intricate information found in DNA and cellular structures point to an intelligent source, which can be interpreted as the work of a creator. Slide number 6, addressing objections. The first one being the problem of evil. Free will. The existence of free will allows for love and moral growth, but also the potential for evil. This aligns with the biblical narrative of humanity's choice and its consequences. A greater purpose. The presence of suffering and evil can be seen as a part of a greater narrative where God is working towards ultimate redemption in his sovereignty, as read about in Romans 8:28. Slide number 8, the nature of faith and science. Complementarity. Faith and science are not mutually exclusive. Many scientists are believers who see their work as uncovering the design of the creator. Limitations of science. Science is excellent for explaining the how, but it often falls short of addressing the why. The question of existence itself invites theological exploration. In conclusion, the contingency argument presents a compelling case for the existence of a creator, supported by biblical teachings and scientific evidence. From the Big Bang to the fine-tuning of the universe and the complexity of life, the evidence points towards a necessary being, God. This framework not only harmonizes faith and science, but also enriches our understanding of existence as a whole itself. Now, for further study, I took the liberty of adding this into the slides. For further study, here on slide 10, for books, we have The Creator and the Cosmos by Hugh Ross, which explores the scientific evidence for God as the creator. We also have God's Undertaker, Has Science Buried God by John Lennox. Again, this discusses the relationship between science and faith. And another book would be The Fine-Tuning Argument by Robin Collins, which is a detailed examination of the fine-tuning of the universe and its implications. Oh. Okay. Got to be okay. Oh, excuse me. Oh, very sorry. We just had a malfunction here. Sorry, excuse me. For further study on slide 11, the Big Bang Theory, the Big Bang, a brief history. This is an overview of the Big Bang Theory and its scientific implications. It's available on a reputable scientific website such as NASA and the Scientific American. Another article would be the anthropic principle. Why is the universe so well suited for life? Which can be found, which talks about exploring the anthropic principle and its philosophical implications. Maybe some videos for further discussion as well from John Lennox, as we have in our course reading. John Lennox has many presentations that engage on science, faith, and God's existence, and the case for a creator. This book is also not only a part of our course reading, but it's also a documentary. It presents a compelling examination of evidence for a creator from both scientific and philosophical perspectives. Here are my discussion questions as well. What does the concept of contingency reveal about the nature of our existence? I wrote this question in hopes that it would encourage students to explore their understanding of being contingent. Question number 2. How does the biblical narrative of creation compare with scientific theories of the universe's origin? I wrote this question in hopes of discussing the intersections and divergences between faith and science. Question number 3. In what ways can the fine-tuning of the universe be interpreted as evidence for a creator? I wrote this question in hopes of exploring thoughts on design versus chance in the universe. Question number 4. How do you reconcile the existence of evil and suffering with the belief in a benevolent creator? I wrote this question in hopes of having a deeper exploration and conversation of theological implications. And finally, for the last question, can science fully answer the question of why the universe exists? Or does it leave room for philosophical and theological inquiry? I wrote this question in hopes for discussion of the limitations of science and answering existential questions. And finally, for my last slide, these are a list of all my sources. We have Lee Strobel, Case for a Creator. We have Science in the Mind of the Maker, John Lennox, God's Undertaker, His Science Buried God, as mentioned before, and The Evolution of Intelligent Design in a nutshell. Thank you very much. This was my Session 3 presentation. Thank you for your time. God bless.